Hey, this is Eric with What About Bop, and we're going to go over how to dump your black and gray tanks in your motorhome, RV, travel trailer. This is one of the most intimidating things when you first purchase these, and some of you may be renting one and have no experience. So we're going over the basics. First thing you'll need, gloves. The stuff you're dealing with here is not pleasant. Definitely don't want any on your hands, but it also keeps you from getting sick. I like to use this non-disposable gloves. What are those called? Permanent gloves. um, you can also use disposable gloves, but I found the thin disposable ones, as I'm doing things, they tend to rip. It's breached at that point. So let's go over some of the elements you'll need. Starting at the sewer connection is the sewer adapter, and this screws down into the sewer connection and allows you to connect your elbow to that. And the elbow looks something like this. I like to use a clear one so you can see the colors that are going through, and you can tell when there's clear water going through, and you're good, right? This snaps on to some slots and turns and locks into place. You make a good connection there and make sure it's tight and not movable, because when that force of water or whatever's coming through it, it can make it rock. Some sewer connections that you get at RV parks, at dump stations, do not have the screw-in type threads, and that's where I use this adapter. And this pops down into the hole when the hole has no threads, and you can make a nice tight connection in there, like so. Now some people will just stick this in there and put a nice heavy rock. So you'll see a lot of rocks and things like that at dump stations where people are keeping this down. And this has the bayonet style connections, and you'll see those same opposite connections on your sewer hose. And those connect right in and turn bayonet style, and you'll make a good tight twist there. Once again, you don't want any of this stuff coming loose while the action's happening, right? So those are the elements that go into the sewer part. Then you've got your sewer hose, and this is extendable. It goes to 10 foot. The end with the pegs on it goes into the sewer, the elbow connection, and the other end goes into your RV fitting. Oh. All right, so you got this end connected, and you got your cap on this end of the hose. I'm trying to stretch this guy out and it won't move because we got a vacuum seal here. That's the air pressure's keeping it from being able to expand. You'll have to take this end off in order to expand this hose. I like to leave these on as long as I can because the smell is not real pleasant. At that point, you want to keep the end tipped up a little bit because there could be some water or elements still in there, and then you can extend it out. But I always try to keep that end pointed up a little bit as I'm stretching it out toward my sewer. Okay, you've got both ends of your hose connected. One to the sewer end, one to the RV end, and now you got to figure out how to keep those supported up. A lot of times those sewer hoses are definitely above the ground, and your connection for your RV is above the ground. So if you leave your hose down on the ground, guess what it does? All the stuff pulls in the middle like this. So how do you get it to you want gravity to be your friend here, and what I use is called a sidewinder. This is sewer hose support. That's hard to say. You extend this out, and you start with a tall end at your RV side, and you want to slope it down to the end there. Sometimes you might have to use some boards or something to support it up if it's a really high connection, and a lot of times you might have to, at the end, lift your hose and get that liquid to move toward the sewer hose. So you've got your hoses connected. You're ready to rock and roll. You got your hose support going down to the sewer. So step one is to pull your black tank. Your black tank lever is usually black, which helps, or it might have a label somewhere on the outside that tells you which one's your black tank. Always start with the black tank. It's got the nasty stuff, right? Black is your bathroom, toilet. Gray is sinks, showers, and if you have a washer dryer, they'll go to gray too. Some tanks do combine, but as a general rule, black tank is bathroom, gray tank is gray water. So we'll pour a black tank, and we're going to let that flow on out. We're going to look at the clear end of our connector, And when we stop seeing flow there, or it trickles down, the next step is to hook our hose. You want this to be a separate hose, a separate color from your freshwater. I always use white for my freshwater or blue, and it's whatever for my gray water. I know this is my sewer hose, and it's only used for sewer hose. What you do here is you connect your water into, you'll see a place that says sewer tank flush, and you're going to connect that into here. So to start with, I connect it there, I turn the water on, and I let it flow. Now you do the sewer tank flush to help get some of that nastiness that gets inside your black tank and flush it out. And that's why it's called a sewer tank flush. Pretty self-explanatory, right? The first time I do it, I leave the black tank open, and a lot of times you'll see on your RV it says, do not use the sewer flush thing with the black tank closed. We'll get to that in a minute. So I'll run the water into the air, you'll hear some spraying, and in your connector, eventually you'll start seeing some clear water coming through. At that point, I turn my water off here, wait till the water comes down to a trickle, and I close my black tank lever. And then I turn the water back on and I let it fill up. Now you want to monitor that. It takes a long time for the water to fill up in that black tank, longer than you would think. But you can monitor that through your inside where you look at your tanks, the panel. You can monitor if you have an app that tells you what your black tank is, or you can go to the toilet, lift the lid and look down the hole until you see some water coming up. You don't have to fill it all the way up, but I like to get some water filled up in there so it gets all the pieces and parts, especially like the TP that sticks on the monitors and makes it not read right. Generally, I get it about 2/3 of the way full with clean water, fresh water, and then I stop the water again, pull it, and that gives you a good flush of clean water to flush that tank out. And it'll flush out, and when you're looking at your clear elbow again, once again, you gotta get that clear elbow so you can see these things. You'll see the water is clear. If it's not clear and you're still seeing particles and stuff, you may want to do that procedure again. Close the black tank lever, fill it up again about 2/3, and flush it again. That gives you a good clean tank. So now we've got our black tank done. It's closed. It is very important to keep that black tank closed when you pull your gray tank. All right, so you're done, black tank's done, gray tank's done, everyone's happy, and now we gotta break this down and put it away. So step one for that is to disconnect it from the RV side. Now I disconnect this, I keep the hose tilted up once again. Now I gotta go through this hole here, but a lot of them are on the outside. I wanna keep this tilted up because I don't want anything that's in there to come spilling out. Then I put the end on this side, put the cap on this side, nice and tight. I start expanding back to the sewer outlet. And when I get to that end, I do the same thing. I disconnect it from the elbow, keep it tilted up, and I put the cap on the end. And I get my hoses ready to go. And I can put it back into my tub. Now I've got my sewer hose put away. I would like to put my cap back on my RV connection. A lot of these come with a little plastic cord here to keep it there. Make sure that doesn't get pinched in behind it, or you might leave a gap that could leave leaking later. Make sure you got a good tight connection here so you don't get any leakage. And mine actually tilts up, which is the first one we've ever had like this, but we tilt that up and keeps everything from being there when you undo it later. All right, my sewer hose is done. I got to put away. I unscrew this from the sewer outlet. I'm done. I put it away, close the sewer lid, scrunch up my sidewinder, and put it all into my handy dandy bucket. Here's a handy tip to keep the water that's in your hose out of your bucket. So unscrew it from the water source. I'll lift it up in the air to get the water to start flowing down. Then I start working the hose into my bucket. You see it squish out the other side. So as long as I keep this end higher, so I'm putting it in the bucket, I won't get a bunch of water in the bottom of the bucket. I'm done. I'm finally done. Now I gotta take my gloves off. On the tips, these gloves are easy to take off because they're nice and big and they're not tight. If you got the disposable gloves, you really pay attention to how you're taking them off. Start at the fingertips on one side, get them off. Leave that glove loose but on, and use that glove to take the other one off a little bit. Get it loose. You never want to grab on the outside of the glove because that's where the contamination is, right? And I like to take this and pinch it on the other side. Get it down, pinch it on the other side. And my hands never touch the outside of the gloves. Gloves are done. And now it comes time for the sanitizing wipes. This is step one of the sanitizing part. I do this because it's outside. I do have an outside shower here I could wash my hands with, but having a bottle of soap around there just, it doesn't seem like very smart. I don't know. Maybe I could make a soap thing here that I could squirt out. That would be a good idea. But after I'm done this, I go inside and I wash my hands very well. Once again, you know, when you're dealing with human waste, sewer water, you can get sick, and it can cause bad illnesses. Very important to wash your hands thoroughly, especially before you eat. Another important thing you need is a storage bin of some kind that will hold all of your sewer hose, garden hose, everything you need for this all in one container. I like to keep it separate. It seals up. I can store it underneath. Some RVs have a place where you can stick the, what they call this, the stinky slinky. I like to call it the highway to smell. And you might have a place to put that in a bumper or something, however you store it, but I like the tub. Everything's here. We have 2 sewer connections and 2 gray tank connections, so we've got double what a normal RV would have.